I've been doing anime content creation for a very long time now, and if there's one thing I know that all anime YouTubers should have, it's a top 10 list. Now, to be fair, I do have a top 10 list on my channel, but that was 3 years ago, and I've watched a lot of anime since then. And when looking for other videos to actually create for this time around, I thought it'd be appropriate to go ahead and give my updated version of my top 10 anime list. And just so we're clear, this is not going to be an objective top 10, this is going to be a subjective top 10. A top 10 that reflects what I like and all of my favorite animes. So anyone that thinks that this is my, end all be all of what I think is the top anime, don't worry, it's not that. But that doesn't mean I'm not willing to fight for my opinion on what I like. So you've been warned on that part. I also try to make sure that every anime on this list is a 10 out of 10, or at least I rated it a 10 out of 10. So you are getting what I consider the best of the best when it comes to all the anime that I've watched. I will also say, since I'll have to explain all of my options thoroughly and go deep into the story for a lot of these, I want to give a fair warning that there will be spoilers in this video for a lot of the anime that I'm about to talk about. So if you don't want to be spoiled about it, just know that that's going to happen, and if you continue on it, that's your fault. But I have done enough babbling for this video, so how about we just get into it and stop the countdown of my top 10 favorite anime of all time. At number 10, we have Lycoris Recoil. When I first heard about this anime, this was a show that I didn't really think much of. It looked like a typical whatever show that was going to be left to the wayside of whatever season it came out on. But something in my gut was telling me to watch this show, and I'm glad I did, because this show not only became one of my favorite animes in 2022, but became one of my favorite animes of all time. Now, I will admit, it does not have the emotional punch that a lot of these shows on this list have, but I do think its world building, character development, and storytelling is just firmly refined and touched. Chisato and Ino are a great pairing, and despite me not liking them in the first place, they really grow on me as they grew on each other, learning from each other and growing and acting very sisterly to each other despite not being sisters. And Majima honestly is a really great villain. Any story that can make me care about a villain's gripe is a grade A in my book. Majima is a beautiful creation of the allies that our main characters are associated with, and his existence alone just throws into so many questions about who's helping who's doing what, what's proper, what's left, what's right, what's wrong. I just love those types of stories. And the world of Lycoris Recoil is just so amazing. I genuinely wish we had more time with it because it has so many nooks and crannies and avenues to explore, and they already do so much in the show, but there's still so much left to be desired. I especially want to explore the male side of that assassination group that they have that seem like they butt heads against the female ones, the one that both Chisato and Ino are part of, and that itself could be like a whole arc in itself, but that could be saved for another season, and this is me manifesting it. Lycoris Recoil just hits so many sweet spots when it comes to being an anime, and that's why it sits firmly in my top 10. At number 9, we have The Great Pretender. Great Pretender is not just a show that is really good if you want to watch a good heist story. It also delves into deep themes of trying to better yourself and going above and beyond your actual abilities. Not to mention the aspect of love, the aspect of loss, the aspect of betrayal and trust in one another. It does so much with such little time. It's amazing that they're able to explain everything in the runtime they're given. And the way they do that leads into my other really good thing about this show, is that each character basically have their own mini story. There's so much depth to each and every one of them. You could unironically make spin-offs about each character involved in the show, at least when it comes to the main cast. Not to mention the music and the animation for the show go hard as hell. I get it, at first glance, you wouldn't expect a show like this to have any depth, to have any complexity in it, just be a dumb, stupid show about stealing stuff and just the glorification of that. But it really gets into deep themes and really makes you think about things for a second. It's surprising and jarring, but fitting in a weird way. And I think that really impresses me because it's hard to do that in a show where well, people are doing crime. And for most of the cast, it's not like a stealing from the rich, giving to the poor situation. It is being greedy, but somehow they make it work, and I appreciate that. At number 8, we have Your Lie in April. This show will always hold a special place in my heart, whether it's in the top 10 of my anime list or not, and that's because I was a big music kid in high school and in middle school, so I resonate with the story very much. And even though this show is heavily around music, I think the message it's trying to give, which is trying to find your passion after it's been lost through some type of traumatic event or just losing it in general, can be applied to any type of passion out there. We're all humans, and we've either seen people who have lost the passion that they've loved for something, or us as humans have gone through that loss of passion for something that we used to do. And to see a story of someone going through that, trying to rediscover, trying to gain their confidence to do that again, it's endearing, it's confidence building, it's touching, and it's just so many other words that I could say that if I were to continue, this video would already be too long. Now, apologies for what I'm about to do, but I am going to go into a little rant about this show because I've been hearing aspects about this show that I feel like people are missing the point of when it comes to a specific character, and that's Kaori. Because it kind of hurts when you look at the messaging of the show, only for people to look at what Kaori did at the end of the show, which is admit her feelings to Kosue after her death in a letter, and say that she's a bad person for doing so. And while I won't go too deeply on it, because this is an aspect of the show I want to make a whole video on, the short version is that people who actually have this take, I feel like just either didn't watch the show or don't understand what Kaori was doing. And in that sense, she was basically stopping Kosue from going back to square one where he was at the show, preventing him from being in the same pain, if not more pain than he was in the beginning. Because it's so easy to just be selfish and to just do the obvious thing in that moment, but Kaori in that moment does the self-sacrificing thing, and it helps Kosue in the end. That part alone is a big reason why I fell in love with this show so damn hard. Also, I'm just gonna come out and say it, Your Lie in April has probably one of the best soundtracks in all of anime. Like overall. That's such a big claim to make, but the show is surrounded around music, and they do such a good performance for everything. It's kind of hard not to put it at the very least in the top echelon of anime soundtracks or anime OSTs. Your Lie in April is not only a gem, but a cornerstone of my anime experience, which is why it belongs on this list where it is. At number 7, because, you know, it's always been here, who would forget to record a part in the video where, you know, it has numbers. I didn't forget 7. What you talk? We have Ranking of Kings, another show that I didn't think too much of, but quickly became one of my most beloved shows of all time. First off, Boji and Kage are some of the most adorable characters in the show, while at the same time being some of the most endearing. Just watching both of them having the whole world, the whole deck stacked against them, only for them to overcome it in just some of the brilliant way, that I am man enough to admit I cried at this, and I am not ashamed to admit that. It's also fun following the rest of the characters who may not believe in Boji and borderline hate Boji, to then just at the very least believing that he can actually do the things that he sets out to do, and watch him do that. It's a beautiful metamorphosis from hate and anger to love and appreciation. Whether it's Hilling, who only wanted to protect the son that she knew as a weakling, or Daida, who had to understand what his brother was going through the literal depths of darkness, it's just nice to see so many characters develop into just various different paths. And while the design for certain characters, if not all the characters, are pretty simplified, you cannot deny the fact that this animation is so goddamn finger-licking good. I mean, to be fair, this is the same studio that animated the first 3 seasons of Attack on Titan, so to not expect anything but a work of art in terms of animation, well, that's already to be said. Also, I'm just gonna sit here and make another bold claim. I think Hilling is one of the best mothers in anime right now. Obviously, from the beginning, she's set up as an evil mother in a sense that you think that she just hates Boji, but after we get a bit of her backstory, seeing her reasoning, seeing her methods, and seeing that she actually cares for Boji, you see how much of a caring, loving mother she is. And with how big of a role she actually plays into the story, and how much she affects it, along with other characters' growth, I think that it's safe to say that she's kind of a gold standard for the anime moms. And look, if I'm being honest with you, I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you if I didn't say that I didn't find her slightly attractive. I'm just saying. All I'm saying is that you get her in the right dress and you get her with her hair down, and Hilling is bad as fuck. Ranking of Kings is a show that deserves all the love and praise that it ever gets, which is why it sits at a good place in my top 10. At number 6, we have Cyberpunk Edgerunners. Now, if you follow this channel for a while or follow my content for a while, then you would know that I am the biggest slut for Trigger Studio. Studio Trigger has been the savior in my anime career. If there was a god in anime that I could praise, I would praise Studio Trigger, because I think everything they put out is just a fucking banger. So when Cyberpunk Edgerunners came out, you know damn well that my pants were covered in nothing but, not only is the story of David and that beautifully told, but the whole world of Cyberpunk is just wonderful. As this being my first introduction to the actual Cyberpunk world, I genuinely enjoyed every single aspect of it. And the animation, do not get me started on the animation. Studio Trigger has such a unique and vibrant aspect to their animation that makes every single project they make pop to life in the most brilliant way possible. And I think Cyberpunk Edgerunners is the best example of anything they've made so far. Only paired alongside the love and tragedies that this show has, it's just amazing and pairs so well with each other, just makes a beautiful ambiance of perfection. This really has become me just jacking off Studio Trigger, hasn't it? And going back to soundtracks, you want to say Your Lie in April has a good soundtrack? By God, have you heard the soundtrack that Cyberpunk Edgerunners has? What can I say? Studio Trigger knows how to put them out, and Cyberpunk Edgerunners is one of its best works. At number 5, we have Violet Evergarden. And to say that this show has left an emotional impact on me is doing it a disservice, honestly. Violet Evergarden is the definition of hopecore. Violet Evergarden is the example that humanity could still put out good things. Violet Evergarden gives me the confirmation that, you know what, it's going to be okay. See, our main character, Violet, go through a war and try to integrate back into society with such positivity and hope, and spreading that hope to various characters that we see throughout her journey, only for her to get more pain and more sadness and still hold on to that hope. It's fucking awe-inspiring. And yes, of course, she goes through her own struggles, she goes through her own downpours, but the fact that she's willing to tough it out, not only for herself, not only for others, for random strangers that she doesn't even know and only knows through her assignments, is, again, it's just amazing. I truly cannot explain to you how much of an impact this show had on me in the long run. I think about this show when I'm sad. I think about this show when I'm depressed. I think about this show when I am at my lowest point, because it just gives me such a wave of positivity, at least in the moment. It is truly hard to assume that humanity has gone to shit or that humanity has no hope when Violet Evergarden still exists. And even though it is at my number 5 spot, if there is any anime that I would ask any of you to go ahead and watch, if there's one anime that I would say is a must watch from this list, it's most likely going to be this show, because this is truly a magical experience that I think most people can benefit from watching. And I don't say that about most shows, but Violet Evergarden is a show I think most people can have a positive reaction from, if not at least make them think a little bit more about the world. At number 4, we have Code Geass. It's actually funny to think about, because for the longest time, Code Geass and the current number 1 were actually fighting for the number 1 position for a long time. And it's only the making of this list that made me realize, oh, there are things now that I actually appreciate a lot more than Code Geass. But do not get it twisted. Just because it fell out of the top 3 does not mean Code Geass is a bad show at all, or that I devalue it any more than I did before. Let's just get this out of the way. Lelouch is probably one of the best main characters in all of anime, and one of the best, smartest characters in terms of intelligence. The shit that man pulls is honestly phenomenal, and I'm still baffled about the amount of things that he does to this day. To watch him play factions and people and countries like that, and to whatever supreme being that is towards the end, is honestly a feat to behold, and still one of the greatest feats in all of anime. Now, of course, in order for him to do that much with the factions in the world, you gotta go and build a good world, and that show does exactly that. There's so much going on, so much foul play, so much politicking, so much betrayal, so many secrets. It's like a beautiful telenovela happening right in front of you. It's crazy to think that the show is a mecha, because I do not like mechas. There are many mechas that I do not like, because that's just more of my personal taste. I don't like mechas. So for me to put a mecha like Code Geass so high is actually insane, because for the majority of it, you do forget that this is a mech show. I genuinely don't think there was not an episode of this show that I did not find baffling, surprising, or exciting, or all three in a very positive manner. Code Geass still has one of my favorite scenes in all of anime, and hey, judge me if you want to, but I enjoyed the hell out of this scene.
Those of you who call yourselves Japanese, I have a favor to ask. Could you all die, please?
It is sad that Code Geass is no longer tied for number 1 in terms of my list, but this will always feel like it'll have a spot just because of how good it performs. At number 3, we have Sonny Boy, and this anime is so hard to talk about. Now, it's not hard to talk about in the sense that it does something inappropriate or it dwells into really bad subject matters. It's just this show is so complex with its themes that it's kind of hard to dive into it without really going deep. Sonny Boy, like most animes, do not hold your hand in the subject matter and do not try to spoon feed you either. You have to figure out what it's trying to do on its own because it's doing so much it just does not have the time to tell you. And in a lot of ways that does actually help the show be able to express what it needs to more and give it the time to dive into the themes that it needs to. But on the other hand, it's gonna leave a lot of audience members scratching their head and trying to understand what they watch only to not really understand at all. It's kind of like a double-edged sword. You're able to tell this magnificent story, but you also risk alienating a lot of the fan base that you want to bring in. Even I took a long time to really understand it, and I still feel like I need a second watch to confirm what I did. But everything I said sounds pretty negative, but I promise you the first watch around made me confirm that this was a masterpiece. At least from my understanding of the show, the whole thing centers around the idea of growing up and the trials and tribulations of that when you're a child or a teen at that age. And from there, it spars off from like various different things that it tackles through the idea of growing up and making mistakes. And the beautiful thing about this is that each one of these characters go through their own different form of this. Whether it's a character that's viewed as perfect so they don't want to make any mistakes, or another character that views mistakes of growing up as just a side effect of being free, or another character that views mistakes as another way of discovering the world around you, or if it's simply just the fact that some characters need to accept mistakes as a part of life. It's difficult to consume because it does it in such an abstract way, but when you start putting the pieces together of everything the show is trying to do, it's actually quite beautiful and one of the most thought-provoking pieces of anime I have seen in a very long time. I do love how it makes you think as an audience member and rewards you pretty heavily for connecting other pieces together. It's a big reason why Sonny Boy for the longest time is still an anime that is stuck in my mind. Again, it will be one of those shows that is difficult to understand, but I promise you, once you get past the barrier of trying to put everything together, it will be all worth it. Sitting at our number 2 spot, we have Jujutsu Kaisen. It's funny when you look at this placement and then see everything else. All these other shows have an emotional impact and kind of thought-provoking, deep sentiment to it. But JJK really doesn't have that level compared to everything else I just listed. Now, don't get me wrong, it is still filled with rich emotion, especially when it comes to the character depth, but compared to everything else, everything just kind of outweighs it. So why is Jujutsu Kaisen sitting at number 2? If I'm being honest, it really does only come down to one simple factoid. It has been a while since I have felt this much in love with a series before. Jujutsu Kaisen is a show that I religiously watch on a constant basis. Anytime a new season's out, I'm on that shit. Anytime a new chapter for the manga's out, I am on top of that shit. It is one of my most exciting moments in life is to consume a new piece of information from Jujutsu Kaisen. The last time I felt this passionately about a show was Fire Force, and I still need to sit down to go watch a manga for that. The last time before that was Bleach. And that was almost 20 years ago. I can literally and have talked about Jujutsu Kaisen theories and content and character analysis for hours on end with various friends who have also consumed the show. Yes, everything that I just listed before has an emotional impact deeper than anything I have watched. but nothing can come to the ravenous fandom that I feel for JJK. I can watch those shows, feel deeply satisfied, and not watch them for years. When I watch JJK, I'm like a crack whore. I'm like waiting for my next fix, and I'm not gonna lie, this drought of content without the anime is honestly kind of killing me. There's just something about shows like JJK that just bring me back every week to want to experience the trauma that it puts me through. And maybe that's a bad sign, but honestly, I'm addicted to it. Now, that's not to say that JJK doesn't obviously have its strong suits. The music is amazing, the animation's great, the characters are all lovable. You want to root for the main character because of all the bullshit he goes through. And obviously, it has Gojo Satoru, an anime man that is so lovable. There is a line of people out the door just to suck this man's. Will I ever understand the stranglehold that this show has on me? Absolutely not. But damn, don't I love it. And at number 1, we have Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. I don't know what else were you fucking expecting. Basically, take the majority of everything I just said about the last 9 anime we talked about, and like double that, and that's basically how I feel about Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. Amazing fights, amazing characters, amazing music, amazing story, amazing development, and just animation that surprisingly holds up even till this day. There's a reason it's a lot of anime fans' safe bet as for number 1. There's a reason why there's not much discourse on the quality of Fullmetal Alchemist. There's a reason why it dominated the number 1 spot on MAL for the longest time until Freerun showed up, of course. Fullmetal Alchemist just personifies what it means to be an anime. It is an anime that has stood the test of time. Out of hundreds and hundreds of different anime to come out, it has still come out as one of the best compared to then, now, and probably forever. I remember watching this again a year ago with my roommates and just feeling all the same emotion and all the same intensities that I felt when I watched it back then and when I watched it multiple times over. That feeling still doesn't go away. I mean, for Christ's sake, I still cried at the Nina dog scene. That scene's been out for years. I know what it is. I've seen that 10 times over, and I still cried at that scene. For Christ's sakes, I felt emotional at the Hughes scene. I almost cried then. The only reason I didn't was because, well, I already was crying beforehand. Is Fullmetal Alchemist the easy choice? Yes, of course. But there's a reason why it's in my number 1 and it's in a lot of people's number 1. Because Fullmetal Alchemist really is just that good. And with that being all done, thank you for watching the video. I actually do really appreciate it. This took way too long to make, but I hope you enjoyed the video. And let me know in the comments down below if you enjoyed this list that I made or if you would have changed it. And let me know what are some of your top 1, top 3, top 5, top 10. Hell, you can go ahead and write a top 50 for all I care, but let me know in the comments what some of your favorite anime is. Once again, thank you for watching the video, and I hope you have a good morning, evening, night, wherever you are in the world, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
I'm like so gay.